Hi, it's me again. Thank you again, everybody, for joining along. This has really been a special journey for me, and I'm incredibly honored and excited that everyone is joining in on these lives. Talking with experts and friends and people within our community about just how we can be more sustainable, and that means so many different things to so many people. So it's important to have a broad conversation and keep the conversation moving and going and figure out how we can continually evolve so we can be better for ourselves and our planet. So next up, at Penn, and I'm really excited. Um, Maya, I'll let her fill you in on what she's working on. Hi!
Hi.
Happy birthday!
Thank you, Jen. How are you?
I'm so good now that I get to see your face. Thank you so much. Are you having a good birthday?
I am. Got to do another really cool interview
I heard.
that I don't. I guess I could probably speak to that's coming out like with the BBC, which is like through a podcast. So that's cool. And I get to talk to you, and you are like one of the most awesome humans ever.
Oh,
So
I don't know about that. I think you're pretty amazing, and I think, well, I know speaking with the BBC is no small feat. That's enormous, and you are incredible. And I mean, you are so young, and everything that you've accomplished, and being a steward and advocate for this world and the environment. I don't know if you want to explain a little bit and share about your journey and how you started at such a young age.
Yeah, so just to recap, my name is Maya Penn. I'm an environmental activist, an artist, a sustainable fashion designer, and sustainability consultant. And I also am an author. I started on my journey in 2008 when I was just 8 years old. That's when I started my own sustainable fashion line called Maya's Ideas. And from there, it sort of everything kind of evolved into a lot of really cool opportunities to help educate people around sustainable fashion, sustainable living, environmental justice, and a lot of other topics around environmentalism and social justice that I'm really passionate about. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on for the launch of Town.
Thank you. It's amazing, and I feel honored that you're here and you're sitting with us and having this conversation because I mean you're an OG. I mean you basically lived your life. It's part of your DNA, it sounds like, to be an advocate for so long, since 8 years old. What was the catalyst that started at such a young age? What was it that really sparked that love and that need to speak up?
Yeah, so I've always been, really passionate about nature, about the natural world. I was like a really like nerdy and artsy kind of kid. Like I was always, kind of telling like family members and friends like just random facts about endangered species of animals and like, like that was like I was just that kind of kid growing up. But at the same time, I also too, kind of was raised sort of with a eco consciousness, so to speak. Of course, like me and my parents, we were always kind of live eco consciously. Always like some of my early like memories are of me and my mom going to the thrift store and getting clothes from there. I've also been very aware of giving back and the need to do that. I remember donating canned goods and clothing to food banks and homeless shelters here in Atlanta. And that's just something that's kind of always really been a part of me, the need to give back to the planet, to communities. And so when I started getting into fashion design specifically, I decided to do some research on the impacts that the fashion industry has on our environment. And this was in 2008 before sustainable fashion, eco-friendly clothing was really anywhere near a mainstream topic. And the what I discovered was like jaw-dropping. For those who don't know, the fashion industry produces more carbon emissions than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. That is a lot. That's a lot of pollution going into our atmosphere. And there's also the other layer of the ethical treatment of workers within the fashion industry, and also ethics related to using certain materials that aren't as sustainable for the planet or for animals as well. So all of those things basically just drove me to, start my company, and it's sort of evolved. By the time I was 10 years old, I was featured in Forbes magazine, which was really crazy.
Amazing.
um, yeah. And everything just really started to snowball from there. And then at the same time, I was also, I'm also an animator, and I'm making like animated short films around a lot of these topics as well that I got to premiere during my TED Talk that I gave in 2013, which has been translated into like 38 different languages and has been seen all over the world. And it's really awesome to see how many people of like from age 8 to age 88, are inspired to make a difference in their own unique ways and use their passions and skills to make a difference in the world.
So basically, you don't sleep.
Basically, like you can just boil it down to that. Yeah, like that's pretty accurate. But I guess it's my choice. But I'm training myself to have a normal sleep pattern, because that, like, I guess my body will probably thank me in the long run, in my mind and everything else that sleep affects. But I'm like, I'm doing things that I'm passionate about, and that's always a good driver. And also I have a nonprofit as well, so there are also a lot of cool projects I'm working on in that sense.
And what's your nonprofit called again? Just so everyone knows.
Yeah, so my nonprofit is called Maya's Ideas for the Planet. So that's Maya's Ideas, the number 4, the planet. And even if you go to mayasideas.com, there's a link, to the nonprofit there. And I started that in 2011 because I just had so many different ideas around environmental and humanitarian issues that I wanted to tackle that kind of need their own place to live, in a sense, that I, started the nonprofit from there. And, that's what really kicked off a lot of, other projects. For example, I have an ongoing project where I created eco-friendly sanitary pads for women and girls in communities in need. They've been shipped to Haiti, Senegal, Somalia, Cameroon, and more, as well as here in the U.S. So that's like, those are some of the things I'm working on with that, as well as a lot of, tackling food insecurity and other things that have especially been more prevalent due to COVID-19. So in a nutshell.
That's amazing. So
Awesome.
basically, saving the world. That is incredible. Going back, I know one of the things of the many things that you're focusing on is fashion and your clothing line that you have. Now, can you speak a little bit to maybe if one were to be starting out, like, maybe this is the first time that they're hearing about sustainability or eco fashion. What is something that a consumer can look for in making maybe better environmentally friendly choices when making a purchase?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot you can do in that regard, and it's not always about making one decision or another. There are a lot of different routes you can take to make a difference in this area. So, whether that is, shopping vintage, secondhand, supporting sustainable clothing brands like mine, and, many others, that's obviously one thing you can do. Also kind of educate yourself on, what are some of the differences between like natural biodegradable materials like organic cotton, hemp, bamboo, so on and so forth, versus synthetic materials. And also knowing that, to really, I think sustainable fashion, honestly, it's really about not only making the right choices when you are uh, purchasing new pieces, but really focusing in on extending the life cycle of the items that you have right now in your
Mhm.
closet. Learn how to repair and how to mend your clothing. There are so many tutorials and classes and stuff that you can take. If you're feeling bored with a piece of clothing that you have, and you don't know what to do with it, you can like do some kind of like DIY stuff. You can upcycle, and turn that into something new. And a lot of people, of course, sometimes are intimidated by that, because they feel like they don't have that creative ability. But it's even just make it a fun project for yourself and just kind of see what happens in that sense. And also too, it's very little things like spot washing clothing, and if you get like a little stain in it, instead of throwing it in the washing machine when it's not necessary at that time. It's very little things you can do to extend the life cycle of your clothing, and it can be done in a way that's fun, that's creative, and really just being conscious of the full life cycle, because every item that's created, whether it's clothing or like literally any object that we make as human beings, will eventually end up out of the hands of the consumer, and back into Mother Nature's hands in some way. And so, you want to be supporting the brands that are either, keeping synthetic materials out of the landfill by recycling and upcycling those materials into new items, or making items from organic and biodegradable materials. Yeah, so it's actually a lot of fun to it, and you get to develop your own unique like look and style and wardrobe when you start doing this. Like letting go of brand dependency. Like everybody's got to rock this same label. Like
Right.
no, like just develop your own unique style and just kind of experiment and have fun with it.
I also saw someone who's painting on their clothing as well, and I thought that was kind of a unique way to, repurpose old pants or a shirt or something and remaking
Yeah,
it um, a fun new outfit, I
that's
feel
that's
like,
something I really do a lot, because I do that with a lot of my accessories, are like my scarves, are hand painted bags, as well. And also some other items that I'm working on that I'm excited about. That's something that I've always really enjoyed, especially being a professional artist. Of course, you want to put your own like personal touch to stuff too.
of course, so fun. Um, so a lot of people like, I mean, like myself, I consider myself an advocate and a steward for the environment, but I'm pretty new in the grand scheme of things of our impact and how dire and how serious things are. So what I'm wondering, what do you wish that more people knew about when it comes to sustainability and the climate crisis and just understanding the climate movement in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, first I want to say, one misconception around, sustainability, sustainable living is that, this is something that kind of just happened. Like this movement just suddenly came into existence in the last few years, and that is nowhere near true. People have been, stewards to the environment and fighting for sustainability for literally like decades and decades. And, you know, and a lot of people, a lot of cultures, especially Black, Brown, Indigenous cultures, have lived sustainably before it was even called sustainable. Before it was called zero waste. And so I think first of all to know that sustainability is not a new thing. It's just an ongoing process of you know balance, keeping the balance and the harmony with Mother Nature and human activity, and it kind of takes shape and changes depending on what's happening in the world. Right now, like you said, we're facing this climate crisis, and I want to start off by saying, I am a solutions-based activist, and I am also an activist who is very hope-centered. And I think all activists have some sort of have our hope centered in some way. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing the work that we're doing. If we didn't feel like we had that hope to be able to make a significant change or to get things on the right track in some way, we wouldn't be out here speaking to these topics. And I just want everyone to continue to stay hopeful, because that is super, super crucial. That's something I kind of speak to a lot, is that hope and joy are actually fuels for action and for activist movements. And so we need to continue to do the hard work. We need to continue to, educate each other and educate ourselves on what's happening, and also holding our, leaders locally and globally accountable, as well as, making the changes that we are able to in our own lives. but also, keeping the hope that we can make a difference and we can shape a greener future for future generations to come. And that also sustainability exists on a scale. Everyone's, eco-friendly lifestyle is not going to look the same. Everyone's going to be unique. And I think that's something that's really telling, and also in a lot of ways, beautiful, and also can open your eyes to even other social issues as well. People's proximity to affluence or access to certain sustainable or eco-friendly, whether that be food or clothing or whatever that might be, or transportation, green spaces, all of these different things, everyone kind of has access to differently. And so it also reveals a lot about how we need to make sustainable living more accessible for a lot of communities of people as well.
Mhm.
So, and also just not to shame yourself when as long as you know you're doing what you can do, on an individual level. So, I guess that's kind of in short what I would say to people around sustainability that they might not really know, or might need to hear.
I mean, that was so beautifully said, and I agree, 100% of that, because I think you really address the fact that we are all different and unique individuals who live on this planet. We all happen to live here, and whether we like it or not, we have to figure out a way that works for us to be more sustainable. And that looks different for everybody. And I think that's really important to hit. And also the optimist part. There's so much doom and gloom that's out there. And to remember to be optimistic, and we can empower ourselves by doing and making incremental changes, um, talking to policymakers, and voting, and implementing those changes. So I love what you just said. I just think you said it so beautifully.
Thank you.
Um, so what are your goals, and I mean, you have a million things going on already, but do you have any, um, you know, bigger goals other than saving the whole world? What else are you working on, or hope to work on in 2021?
Yeah, so continuing my nonprofit projects, continue to do as much as I can, both locally and globally, um, on a humanitarian level, on an environmental level, working on some new designs as well, um, for clothing and other cool accessories. And then also on top of that, I am also have my own animation production studio, and so that's I have an animated short film that I'm currently working on, which is a lot of it is kind of secret right now. But I can't wait to share that with everyone too, because it's like a big passion project of mine that I originally like created when I was 11 years old, and so it's like
Amazing.
developed. It's something I'm like really excited to share with people. And it's funny, like animation was my first creative passion before fashion, and so that's something I've been like kind of pursuing in the background, as well. And something that's cool is I actually animated the opening of the first ever digital report presented to Congress and to U.S. Congress, and this is to get an American Museum of Women's History built in Washington. And the omnibus spending bill that contained the language to get that museum, to get that passed, was actually just passed. So that's really awesome. That's
That's
happening,
amazing.
in conjunction with the Smithsonian. So, yay,
That's
like,
incredible.
so this is like, I was gonna say 4 years later, but it's almost 5 years later that this is coming to life, which is awesome because we don't have a museum detailing the awesome contributions of women in American history. So yeah, there are a lot of things going on. I'm really zeroing in on, continuing this work, continuing to, advocate for and be a voice for Mother Earth and for the communities of people who are, underrepresented in this space. But also really zeroing in on what also that I'm really passionate about and what continues to kind of recharge and refill me as well. And it just makes my heart happy in general. Like both of those things always, I think, are have always been in tandem for me when I first started. And so, as I'm in these new stages of my own life, I want to continue to really focus in on that because that's something that's important to me.
Amazing. Um, and Maya, what are some things that sustain you personally?
Yeah, I think what sustains me personally is well, obviously connection to nature. Creative expression has always been super important for me. Like drawing and stuff like that. Like that's literally as normal as like breathing and blinking to me. Like I draw every single day. Like even if I'm barely aware of it, and also, really connecting and learning from other people and, connecting with people who are empaths, who are passionate about the world and, just want to be good humans, and, I think that it's really important now more than ever to continue to lift each other up, to continue to create uplifting and positive spaces for each other, to be our authentic selves, because that's something that's so crucial that we need right now, especially with everyone having to obviously be distant from each other and having to figure out new ways to reconnect. And I've just been really diving into a lot of uh, fun hobbies I might not have had as much time for before. I'm trying even more new vegan recipes that I've always wanted to cook. I'm like I'm writing, I'm painting, I'm reading, I'm playing video games. I'm kind of doing a number of different things that just make me just, it's like little things that just kind of bring me joy. It is like this the kind of simple stuff that just makes you happy and makes you kind of you know be happy to be on Earth and to be a human being living on planet Earth, because there are a lot of things that are happening right now that make you want to leave, that make you really like, I'm done. So it's
How to
good
know?
to find the things that sustain you, even if they're like simple or silly or whatever.
100%. I love that. And I love the simplicity of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Maya, where can everybody find you? And I just want to make sure that everyone can, find your 501(c)(3) and figure out what you're doing and shop and buy all of your amazing creative fashion purchases. And
Yeah. So if you go to my page, which is just Maya's Ideas, I have a link tree where you can pretty much find everything. But if you want to kind of specifically go to my website, my sustainable fashion company is at mayasideas.com. That is MAYAS ideas.com. If you go to mayasideas.com / nonprofit, then it'll take you to more info about the work that we're doing with my nonprofit organization. But there's also just a tab for that, on the homepage as well. And other than that, everything that I'm working on, I kind of, continue to update on my Instagram page. And my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook are all the same. My like, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Clubhouse, TikTok, like everything that exists is all Maya's Ideas. So if you ever want to find me anywhere, just search Maya's Ideas.
perfect. Well, awesome. I so appreciate you taking the time, especially since it's your birthday. And I hope that you're going to go out and celebrate and have an amazing day. And I so appreciate you taking the time out of your day today.
Thank you so much, Jen. This has been really amazing, and I'm really excited to see all of the awesome things that come out of town and everything
Thank
you've
you.
put so much time into pulling together.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, and it's, talking to people like you that make it all the more worthwhile and really help us learn from you and what you're doing and breaking down barriers the way that you are is just amazing. So I just so appreciate all of your hard work and your dedication, and I mean, we're all so excited over at Town to just see where you're going to go and we just would love to continue working together. So I so appreciate it and thank you so much for being such a beacon and an incredible human being. Thank you so much, Maya.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I really appreciate you so much.
You too. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.